Good morning, class. Today's craft is going to be something from the Native Americans in Alaska. We're going to be making dance paddles. Let's talk for a minute about why we need dance paddles. You know, humans everywhere like to dance. And so the different cultures that were kind of separated from each other by language or geography, they all kind of developed their own system of dancing. And quite naturally, the dancing looked a little bit different from the people that they didn't see on the other side of the mountain. Everybody developed their own ways. Most of the time when you think about dancing, you think about traveling a long distance or skipping or running or big movements like the dances that traditionally done in Greece or in Israel or in our own country, the contra dance, where there's two lines of people, partners across the way, and they're skipping and dancing down the middle of the line and taking up a lot of space in their dancing. This is what we think of typically when we think of dancing. But in Alaska, they had a little bit of a different problem. Back in the time when the traditional dances were getting developed, they were living in the Alaska winters, and Alaska winters can be pretty harsh. So they didn't have big halls for big dancing. They had small houses where a lot of people could be close together and keep each other warm. So in this environment, they naturally developed one form of dancing that could be accomplished in a very small space because they only had a very small space. I thought this was ingenious. When they did the demonstration of the dancing for me in the museum, the dancer stood in one place and had the dance paddles. And it was accompanied by drumming, and the dancer would be using the motion of the dance paddles to express larger motions, but her feet stayed in 1 square foot. So I found this was absolutely amazing. And I said, okay, if I can ever find the means to do it, I'm going to have dance paddles made up with my younger class, and we will be able to do some of the dancing like they do in the paddle dancing in Alaska.
Dang mang nangam kaniyu
Okay, let's take a look at how we put these things together. I'm going to ask you to get into your unit bag carefully because you may have the type of fur that is very delicate, and so I don't want anything to break. So I'll go in here and find 2 discs, and then I got the delicate one. So this stuff here needs to be handled carefully. And I will set that there to the side. I also find a piece of nice felt. And the first thing we're going to do, the discs that I could find have writing on the side, and we don't need to see that, so we're going to cover it up with some nice felt because the traditional dance paddles don't have this. So I want to, of course, be able to get 2 circles out of my felt, so I don't want to cut one and cut it right there. That would make me very sad. What I need to do is make sure that I can get both at the same time. And to cut it, I'm going to trice around it with the Sharpie. Just hold it down with my fingers so it doesn't shift, and lightly make a circle while the tip of the pen is touching the felt like that. Do the same thing here. Lightly touch the felt and go around. There are my 2 circles. I don't want the circles of felt to be this big, however, because that would be then hanging off the edge. And I do like the wood at the edge, so I'm going to cut it just a little bit inside of that. And if you want to draw a circle smaller inside, you can, but I've been cutting circles out of felt enough years that I can just eyeball it. Feel free to actually give yourself something to aim at if you want. But I'm going to go in here with good scissors. These aren't paper scissors, these are sewing scissors, which I will have asked your mom to put out for you. I hope that this has given me enough to cover up the funny words on the wooden disc. Let's check and see. Yeah, that'll cover that up nicely. So what I'm doing is just moving the felt around as the scissors stay in one place. And I'm very careful with sewing scissors because sewing scissors are sharp with a purpose, and we don't want any band-aids needed. There's what we're going to have. All right, before I start getting out any glue, I'm going to do my mom a favor and make sure that my workspace is protected so I don't get any glue on her table. I think before I put this on, I'm going to put on the fur. I'm going to call this the bottom of my dance paddles, kind of the handle where that little hole is. And then these are going to go like this around the dance paddle. You'll notice that I've got my twice as tacky glue nose down into a glass, and it's been there waiting for me to do this craft because this way it's handy. All of the glue is already down here. If it were standing up on its bottom, then all the glue would be at the bottom. So this is just something that I do to make it a little easier on myself. So I see where I should start the glue and where I should end the glue is about there. So I can I can put a good amount of glue on this. I don't need to be stingy. It depends on how strong my hand is to get the glue to come out. Yours will come out easier. This is the big old classroom bottle, which of course has seen a lot of action. And now I have glue on my hands. Oh, very clever, Ms. Marilyn. You know what that feels like, right? Then everything sticks to you. There we go. All right, I can take this and just lay it into my glue like that. And then I want it to be centered so I can pick it up. This is twice as tacky glue, so it's going to kind of hold it for you there. And then carefully, without getting any of the fur in the glue line, kind of hold that down. I'll check on both sides to make sure I'm right along in the middle of the fur where it's being glued to the disc. And this is where we can sit and chat for a little while because this is drying while we talk. And while that's, whoops, don't put it down in that glue because now there's glue on my paper, right? I'll lay it over here and then I can put on my felt disc. I want to remind myself how big my felt disc is. It's that big. So I can put glue. You don't need to be quite as generous putting on the felt because the felt is not going to have any problem attaching itself. It's just that fur that I'm worried about holding on really tight. Press that down in there. And then carefully put it over here where it's still on the paper and let me bring in the next one. That's where my glue needs to go, from just about the 13 to just about the 20. You may have a longer piece of fur for yours. You may have fur that goes all the way down to the bottom. And that's fine, you can use all of it. I took the one kit that was a little short on fur and gave it to myself because I wanted you guys to have fur all the way around it. So here again, we lay it into the glue, and now we can lift it up and position it right in the middle of the disc. So it's the same front and back, and without getting much fur into the glue, I'm just going to kind of hold that there and encourage that to attach well. You may not have this flyaway fur. You may have this other type of fur, which does the same thing. If it's in one piece, obviously that's too long to go around one disc. And then you just find the middle of it and cut it down here. Don't cut it up here because you'll hurt the hair. Open it up like this and then cut it like that with your sewing scissors. And then it goes on the same way as this. Okay. And while that's drying, we will put on the felt. I'm talking slowly so that your glue has a lot of time to dry while we're making this, because I know as soon as we're done, you guys are going to want to start dancing. So I want it to be somewhat dry before we get there. All right, let's make sure that I'm not, yes I am, stuck to the table. Very good. Kind of encourage the nice hair not to be stuck to the back of the paddle. Okay. I'm going to lay these down, making sure that it's not stuck to the table again, Ms. Marilyn. Move it around a little bit so that it doesn't stick to the table. These are our dance paddles. Now, if you are in class with me, at this point, I'm going to put on some music of the Native Americans in Alaska and let you listen to the drumming. And if the paddles are dry enough at this point, we'll also be able to do a little of the dancing. If you're watching this later on the website and don't have access to me in the Zoom meeting with the rest of the class, Google yourself some music from the Native Americans of Alaska and see the drumming that they do. It is absolutely fantastic. And let's get right to the music.